Sage Robbins has a way of reminding women who they are beneath all the noise and the roles and the expectations. She speaks with depth and presence. And today we're talking with Sage about what it means to live fully aligned, rooted in purpose, and open to transformation. Let's get started. Sage, it is so good to see you.
Tamsen, it's such a treat to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while now because we were introduced earlier in the year and I felt very connected to you. Every time I get a voice message from you or every time I get a text from you, it just makes me, it really does light me up. That's a special thing for somebody to have. So I just want you to know that.
Well, I have to tell you, when I had the invitation to join your hottest menopause party, we hadn't met before that, but seeing you on stage and how you navigate it, you're such a pro. You're so conscientious. You're freaking brilliant and beautiful. And I was like, wow, this woman is a mythical creature. And it was just really hats off, my dear, to
Thank
all
you.
of who you are and just all the lives and women that you're touching. It's a gift to be able to join your community. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And your community, I mean, speaking of community and giving back to women, and that's really what we want to talk about today, because I
Yes,
feel like there's not, we all came into this place without any kind of roadmap, right? And I
true.
think we hit this time, and I have found that my definition of, I don't know about you, but my definition of community has definitely changed. And I thought before it was like, oh, you have a couple of friends, that's the definition of community. And now I realize how important it is to just really be aligned in so many different areas, and that when
Yes.
you meet that person, and we meet in different ways. Obviously now we meet online, digitally, virtually, in person, hopefully. I just realized, like, I connect, like I know whether or not I connect, and that
Yes.
person is going to be in my life for a long time. I think that comes with age and gravitas and maybe wisdom, right?
I think so too. And I think, it's interesting. The gift of this virtual reality and as well in person is we're all, like you said, there's no playbook, there's no how to in this human experience, never mind being a woman. There's some predictable patterns or stages or phases of life or chapters. And I think it's beautiful to be able to be a mirror. I'm not an expert, but I'm certainly here to share my life experience and what's worked and what hasn't worked. And I really respect that about you as well, Tamsen, because you've used your life, the gift of it, the pain of it, to be able to help others find a kinder way. And I think we really meet in that. We do it a little bit
Yeah.
differently, but in complement to really the higher outcome, which is just really shining shine on the gift and the power, and as well at times the unique challenge of being a woman.
So first, I want to go into you and your story. You have lived a very public life,
Yes.
and I think that people watch somebody and think like, oh my gosh, this is what they're doing, that's what they're doing, but a lot comes with that, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of moments where things change. Can you talk a little bit about you before, had you always done inner work with yourself, or did you learn that you needed that over time? Because there are these different seasons where we need something different.
Yes. Well, I think innocently as a younger woman, I thought I was doing inner work. The
Yeah.
the younger kind of I know mind and oh, I've got this figured out. I don't need that. Oh, I do this. You read a book and believe the innocent and the arrogance of ego like you have. Oh, I've got that mastered. But I think that's the innocent, immature and immaturity of different stages that I honestly can still even have, to have a miss. But life evolves us and it has its way with us. And I wasn't always her. She's an ever evolving. I think that's what you're reflecting as well, Tamsen, is that life is kind because it gives us an opportunity to begin again. I'll look back, Tamsen, at pictures of myself in my 30s and I'll think, number one, what on God's green earth was I wearing? Um,
I was going to say my hair.
Oh, all the above. I've gone through perms. You do it all, and you look back and it was like, what was I thinking? But I think that's the gift of life is growth and evolution. And you try something on and realize, gosh, this really isn't sincere for me. And I think that's the gift of, you'd mentioned wisdom. I think that's what comes through age. and a younger version of like the maiden and the huntress and all those different archetypes that are still an aspect of who we are, but I suppose less dominant at this stage. It's just a maturity of experiencing life and the gift of it and the pain of it. They both school us.
I think so too. And I went through, I know we've all been through our share of it. And I do agree with you. I agree that there are things I look back on and I was like, wow, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I
Yes.
wouldn't be where I am today had I
Yes.
not experienced that in terms of appreciation, in terms of growth, in terms of, who I became as a result.
Yes, absolutely. And I couldn't have sat in front of you here now, as a younger version of myself. You don't know. You just don't know. I think life is the gift of it is it's an experience, and through that experience we learn and we grow, and certain things fall away, certain aspects. I guess it's really also about experiencing a fuller expression of ourselves, and you don't know what you know until you do. And life is such just an invitation. It's an invitation to grow, and I see that more accurately than I ever have at this stage.
Where do you see the invitations? Because I'm curious about that. I like the way that you said that. There are
Yes.
invitations to grow, and sometimes maybe my younger self would have said no, and
Yes.
this self goes, maybe it's okay. Maybe I'm not so worried about what everybody else thinks. Maybe I'm not so worried about the end result. Maybe it's okay to accept the invitation for today.
Well, the invitation, I feel that pain's an invitation. It's an invitation to, like, if my knee, or I had some hip challenge a couple years ago, and it was inviting my attention. It was saying, "Hello, pay attention to me." And so I started to find different like structural alignment exercises, and I started to take care of her differently, I suppose, than I did before. An invitation of even this, here we are. This came from an invitation, and we both met and said yes to this moment. And, I look at all my yeses or nos along the way, and I think I think life is one big invitation to be experienced and to be touched and to connect to. And I see pain. The invitation, I suppose, is a younger version of myself. It was I avoided it. You numb it, you distract yourself. I'm guilty of all the above. And
Me
then I
too.
feel at this stage, the invitation is to really turn towards those schisms in life with inside of ourselves, or in a containership of a relationship, and to get really curious, and I suppose a invitation to connect more deeply with ourself and with one another. I'm curious, what do you think, and how does that land with you, or do you resonate with that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't think look, my invitation to decide to move into advocacy for women's health was never anything. If you'd have told me that 5 years ago, 10 years, I would have
Yes.
said, no, why would I do that?
Yes.
I'm working on this career. This is the plan. This is the timeline. This is what I'm doing. And so, yeah, I've seen that ebb and flow, even getting remarried at 50 years old. That was something that I could never have thought that I would accept that, 10 years ago.
Yes.
I said no to that life, and so yeah, I've definitely seen that. There's no question, and I think that you brought up life chapters, and there are these chapters in life that have patterns, right? And we were talking before we jumped on here: 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60. I'd love to go through some of those because you speak to women in all those areas, and we're going to jump in and talk about something really special you have planned for August that I am real excited to be inviting women to all over the world. She's
Thank you.
unstoppable,
Yes.
and but let's talk about some of the things that you have seen in terms of these different chapters in life. Because I'm in like that third chapter right now of the 50 to 60. I'm 54 years old, so I've gone through some of the other ones. Yes,
Yes.
so we're in the same chapter,
Yes.
and but let's talk about some of those chapters, like 30 to 40. I remember some of those, and they are predictable
Yes.
patterns in there that are very different.
Yes, I agree. Well, 30s to 40s, I think it's when I look at each chapter, with a 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, I think each has their gift
Yeah.
and each has, their challenge and the opportunity to come to understand ourselves and to experience ourselves. And gosh, where I think back to where I was living, and just living in an apartment and having the freedom,
Yeah.
once again thinking you just, I don't know, I look back at that version of myself. I thought I knew so much, and I see the innocence of her ignorance,
Yeah.
and I don't know, you just have a different level of invincibility. I hadn't had a real health challenge or, disrupt like I have, I suppose, coming into my 40s. And that really awakens you. I met Tony when I was 26 years old. And so I just look at that journey, and
Yeah.
as we all go through it, and the seasons and chapters of life. But I may look at a picture and see myself in my 30s and think, gosh, wow, when you think you were old or
You
you had
made
a
it.
wrinkle, it's like, what the frick? And I'll look here now today, but I wouldn't change it, because it's and I don't know if you experience this, but I'll look at pictures of younger version of myself, and I'll see me here now today. And what I most appreciate of this chapter is just I feel like I'm the most authentic version of myself. And kind of the, external, I want your love, approval, and acceptance, the external, pleasing the external, that starts to drop away. And
Yeah.
I have found tremendous relief and freedom in that. I would say that's one big shift. Besides, in 30s to 40s, innate ATP. I don't even know, what do I even know what ATP means, but like intrinsic energy, intrinsic life
I love
force.
how honest you are about everything.
It's true. What the heck?
I
You
know.
know, I I would, we would work. I would go to bed at like 4 in the morning. I didn't even have a bedtime. I mean, 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, we would work. We'd be at events, and it didn't even dawn on me. 30s to 40s, I missed her. I
Yeah.
missed taking care of myself. I missed my health, my well-being. It really wasn't. My husband would always be like, "Honey, get a massage, or do this, or take care of yourself." And I was always like, "No, no, no." I wanted him taken care of. I wanted my parents taken care of. I wanted my friends taken care of. I wanted my family taken care of. But I missed her. I missed me. I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And truthfully, it wasn't until probably like maybe 43, 44. Well, life humbles you. It strips you down, and that vitality, that just life force energy. It's not that it goes away, but I suppose life was inviting me to pay attention to her.
What happened during that time that was important to do that? Because you met Tony at a young age. I mean,
I did.
26 is young, and
Yes.
you go into your 30s, and I remember 26. I was so into my career, I couldn't even. I was moving
Yes.
city to city to city to city. I'd meet
Yes.
somebody, I'm like, no, I'm not staying in this city, so no. So I didn't get married until I was 34, but I did it in this like rush of, oh my gosh, I'm in my mid 30s. I'm on a timeline now. I can't get to 40 and not be with somebody. I mean, I look at it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? And of course, I made a
Yes.
terrible decision, a
Uh-huh.
terrible decision. But do you think that meeting somebody young made you grow up a little bit
Oh,
faster?
yes, I mean, we were traveling the world. We would, on
Yeah.
average, like we were traveling 265 days of the year, even more than that. We would travel the globe twice a
Wow.
year. We were doing events. We worked incredibly hard. In 20s to 30s, it was like go-go. It was intense. And like I said, it was just like one thing after another, after another. But it schooled me. just the gift of being in different cultures and different experiences, being with people from all around the world. It opens your mind and heart and expands your mind and heart. And I really, I wouldn't trade, I wouldn't want to go back to that, like living on the road at that level, even though we still do
Sure.
travel, obviously, but not to that acuteness. But it really shaped me as a human being. It really humbled me as a human being. In my 40s, it was almost like, I don't know, like a plug got pulled. And I woke up and what the heck, you know?
I
uh,
think we did. We all
yes,
kind of did, right?
yes,
I
yes,
agree with you. What was that like when you woke up with that? Do you think that was I mean, health obviously starts to shift there, right? Everybody's health shifts a little bit differently. I know what mine did. Mine was more of like my mental health, and there was physical too. But I was so determined to push through it. I didn't really pay
yes,
too much attention to it till my late 40s when I had no
yes,
choice. What
yes.
was it that you woke up challenged with in the 40s?
Well, I think Tamsin, you brought something up so relevant, and I can really relate to the pushing through. What I was able to push through at one stage actually felt insincere. Like I just didn't have that same, even though like I can mentally will myself to do anything. It was just, hello, this body of mine was, you know what I mean? I never drank
It's not
coffee in
mine
my life.
anymore.
Yes, I never drank coffee in my life. I started to drink coffee when, when I was like 40 years old, and I was like, what the heck? This is amazing. Um, but before that, I didn't feel like I needed it,
Right.
And so,
Right.
I don't know, there was adaptations, I suppose, and, but self-reflection, and it didn't happen right away, Tamsin. It felt, I didn't feel like myself. Like birth and death is happening at all times. And when I look back from this perspective to that version of myself, it felt like who I was, it doesn't sound dramatic, but it felt like, it's like the structures like crumbling, or who I was, it wasn't dying. I don't mean that in a dramatic sense, but it's like, I think there's parts of ourselves that do have to die in order for something new to be born, to be birthed. That's, I suppose, a more honest and connected and sincere version for ourselves, and that was really transformative, and that was really empowering. And I realized, nobody missed me more than me. At first I was like scrambling and going to different doctors and endocrinologists, and plus before that I had done extreme cycles of, I say extreme because it was many, of IVF, and
Sure.
I'd miscarried like numerous times, and so there was all these stackings of beginning hormones and the pill to go on to IVF, and what the heck. So at 44 I felt like all of that caught up to me.
I believe that. I believe that. And so much pain also that caught up. So did you have to establish a boundary at 44, or and what did it cost anything, or is it the thing that's allowed you to be whole now, this many years
Yes.
later?
It's interesting. It wasn't so much of a boundary. It was just the fact of tuning in. It was a fact of actually like reflecting and noticing and paying attention to what I had ignored before. Tony always talks about the power of being, our own CEO of our health. And I think up to that point, I was really looking for answers outside of myself. And I'd say the last, I don't know, how old am I? Not quite decade, but over this last decade, it's really been about how can I take care of her? How can I support her? And like, it's a question I ask myself. I'll wake up and be like, all right, hon, I'll call myself sweetheart.
Oh, I
All
like
right.
that.
Yes. I'll be like, all right, sweetheart, how can I support you? If I'm in between meetings or Zooms, it's like, how can I bless my body? That question is like within. And so it can be as simple of having a sip of water, or, different practices that through meditation, through prayer, through physical nourishment, starting my morning with like lemon water first thing in the morning, and drinking warm water. I know that sounds so simplistic, but that's been such a game changer for my health, for my vitality.
Do you think that Tony realized that you needed to do that and take care of yourself and was seeing that on the outside, but you didn't see it?
100%. He was a mirror, and he was so empathetic and offering, but I tuned him out. I tuned him out. I thought he didn't understand all the things that I had to do, and I rationalized and justified and just kept pushing it aside and pushing it aside. And I think that that's I think our superpower of being a woman is our capacity to love and to hold like these wide wings of caring and love and holding so many in our hearts. I think the blind spot is when if we don't hold ourselves as well. And nobody else can do that.
If a woman is listening to this and those emotional symptoms hit hard, they just hit. What should a woman do first? Like, is there somebody she should talk to? Does she need to talk to herself? What steps do you take? Because I think that that's a big challenge, because if you're sitting in this, it's not as easy to see it as we see it right now. But if it's a young woman that's listening to this and wants to feel like you feel now, what do you think? What's your advice for the first steps for her to take?
I would say that, okay, if I'm feeling a big emotional wave and feeling emotionality, recognizing that that's my job. And so life gives us this moment to take a breath. Life offers us this moment. One of the greatest gifts I really believe in this existence is like, what? It's like it was just complicated, it was just messy, it was dramatic. Okay, I can begin again.
Yeah.
I can begin again in this moment, and that's really powerful. And no matter how complicated or painful or messy life seems to be, that through our willingness to see ourselves and to take responsibility for our experience and our health and our well-being of life, that truly anything's possible. I think that it's this shift from it's your fault, you did this, he did this, she did this doctor didn't hear me, that was, oh my gosh, they didn't, whatever the story and the labels that we place
Right.
upon the external, to really, whoa, I through simple awareness and practices, I can shift how I experience life and how I experience my own body. And I can tune into her in this moment, tuning in. And the power of that has completely changed how I relate to life. And I go to sleep. I don't have this mastered. If I fall asleep in a moment, this moment here now offers me an opportunity to wake up, Tamsen. And I think we grow up, you wise up, you lose the empty calories, the food that's no longer needed. By the way, I still have a sweet tooth. Maybe 4 cups of coffee goes down to 1 cup of coffee. What am I putting and feeding in my mind? Staying in my own business. Like, before social media, I literally just joined social media last year. I was 50 years old and just began that journey. And that was a gift of not what I see the seduction of social media is we get into everybody else's business. And once again, we miss ourselves. We
Oh,
miss ourselves.
it's very true. I was going to say, when you said you didn't start social media till you were 50, I'm like, oh my gosh, how many great years did you have
Yeah.
of not worrying about that? Which really, like, I felt a pang of like, wow, maybe, did you miss anything? Not really.
No,
Not
nothing.
really.
No, nothing. I don't think so at all. Besides, here's what has schooled me about social media. I think it's how we use it. And what I find to be so powerful about social media, Tamsin, is the fact that it forms a community. You
Yes.
you know of like-minded, like-hearted. We kind of find each other in this world, and so I think if it's used as a pathway to grow, to enlighten our minds about wonderful tools or opportunities, or finding your book, how to menopause. If somebody comes across that, I think that's really beautiful, because before, you're limited to going to a bookstore, or I don't know,
Sure.
reading or a magazine or something like that, or the news. But I suppose it's a curator for information, and it's an opportunity for us as human beings to share our gifts, to share our experience with the world. The rest of it, bless. Bless.
I'm with you. I'm so with you, and I like to look at it like that too. Okay, so I want to go back through and go to the next category of 50 to 60, because I think
Sure.
40 to 50 is a little bit. Did you feel like that freedom? Because I know there's, I talk a lot about obviously perimenopause and menopause, and that perimenopause time starts in the 40s, where you're going,
Yes.
who am I?
Yes.
Is there literally something wrong with me? And am I ever going to
Yes.
get back to who I was? Because you don't know
Mhm.
where you're going. So
Mhm.
all you have is the history, right? Of
Yes.
who you've been. And you
Yes,
think that's who you're
Tamsin.
still supposed to be. Did you feel
Yes.
that time? Because you had a lot of other things going on too, with
Yes.
regard to IVF, with regard to miscarriages, with regard, I mean, you were going through two overlaps at the same time.
True. And Tamsin, you said something so powerful, because I'd say probably the acute pain in my early 40s, maybe like say 44 to 45 is more accurate, was mind. I was comparing myself to who I used to be. And that was painful. That was really the real pain, rather than, all right, hello, here I am, this version of myself, and having compassion for her and getting to know her at this stage. And I think that that's the grace and gift as I have aged and stepped into my 50s now. I'm 51, in the freedom that comes, really the power and the gift of this chapter of life, because it's actually hands down my favorite. I would not go back to my 30s. I would not go back to my 40s. Bless. I mean, I'm grateful for it all. I enjoyed it. There was gifts, but I'm really enjoying being where I am here now. And I feel, when I felt so out of sorts in my 40s, at this stage, I'm like, wow, this is what it feels like to be a human being. This is what it feels like to be a woman. I feel like a baby on the path. I feel, well, on one hand, you feel older because of the age, and yet I've never felt younger, in the sense like my life is just begun. And that's cool. And that's amazing. That is absolutely something that I've experienced and still do.
Yeah, and I think that I love that, because I agree with you completely. I know my age. I know logically, factually my age, but I also know that I've never felt quite so free. I don't lose myself in relationships anymore. And I did that for a very, very long time. And I lost all kinds of relationships, whether we're talking about personal relationships, or talking about friendships, or work relationships. I felt like I lost who I was, and then I lost myself in my own head. And now at 54, I go, oh, I know who I am.
Mhm.
And I'm more excited than ever to see what tomorrow brings, versus
Yeah.
trying to see who I was yesterday, and still um, be that woman.
It's interesting. I used to always say, gosh, I love it when men age and you see, like, their faces and the wisdom
Yeah.
and the character. And to be fair, I didn't have that same story for women. I feel through my own maturity, I see women differently today at all stages, and I see beauty at all stages. And yes, there's the external, but I think true beauty is really an internal representation. And that's the gift of, I suppose, self-acceptance and self, like, supporting this self, and as well having practices of tuning into her and letting go of what's no longer needed. And I find it quite liberating at this stage of my life to recognize it's me. It's all me, and it's not about losing ourselves, because I think there's also, you mentioned about losing ourselves in a relationship. And I just lost myself, period. It wasn't about losing myself. I just lost myself. I just ignored myself. More accurate, I didn't lose myself. I ignored myself. And I feel at this stage, the freedom is just actually getting to know who I am as a human being, as a heart, as a soul, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, and that's really powerful.
You have the summit coming up, which I love for so many reasons. When we did the world's hottest menopause party, I wanted it to be accessible and free, and I'd never done anything like that before. And so,
I
and
was
I
so
think
impressed,
I
Tamsin.
confided that I confided that in you. I said, I've never done this, but it was so important for me to just try. So that's why I'm so excited about She's Unstoppable.
Thank
You
you.
are going to reach and have reached so many women. Can you talk about what you're doing to give back? Because it's a 3-day event. It's an
Yes.
event that any woman can access. I'd love to know, the mission behind it, obviously, and then
Yes.
also how women can do that. Because I think in this day and age, we have so many different pockets of things that we're asking people to do, and some people, maybe can't pay for something, or
Yes.
they don't know how to do it, or they can't get to the city, but this is virtual. This
It's
is
virtual.
about giving back.
Yes, it is. It's a thanks for asking, Tamsen. Yes, it's a virtual event. We only do it once a year. There's no cost whatsoever. To give you context, Tamsen, last year, I think I mentioned we had close to 500,000 women tune in from all around the world. And this year's format, it's going to be a 3-day event, just 2 short hours a day. What's beautiful about it is this collective. We all, as we mentioned, like even on social media, it's like whatever's guided you and I and your listeners, your audience to this moment. That is amazing to me. And I think that that's the unstoppable force that I didn't recognize was within us. The unstoppable creativity, the unstoppable grace, the unstoppable love, the unstoppable capacity to renew, to begin again, to connect to her, I find so powerful. And I think sometimes the unique opportunity as women is we can get stuck in our roles and identities.
Yeah.
Certainly, at least I have, as a younger version of myself. And it's like, wife, mother, I'm this, I'm that. And then it's like, yes. And it's like, yes, those are aspects of ourselves. We have many different facets of ourselves. But to recognize that there is a powerful, intuitive, creative, instinctive force that lies within each of us, no matter what our life circumstance look like. And this event is, becoming a mother. I really recognize that, gosh, like to tap into, to take time to tune into her and to really unleash her so that we can be all of who we are and to continue to reinvent her and explore her and experience all the many facets of self. And that's why we created our She's Unstoppable Summit.
What do you think women come there looking for? Because I think that at this time in life, and no matter what age it is, I think we're looking for a lot of the same thing. We're looking for some direction, right? We
Yes,
don't come, and nothing comes with a roadmap. And I think we're also looking for somebody to tell us that there is more, right? That maybe
yes.
that because you chose one path doesn't mean you have to stay on that path. And I think that She's Unstoppable. Just those two words, say that to somebody, and can be very inspiring to move them to the next place, wherever they are, whether they're talking about a work or passion or relationships or spirituality, or whatever it is they want to do to move forward.
I didn't know as a younger version that I could free myself. I didn't know that there was a kinder way through. I didn't know that there was an inner freedom inside myself. I didn't know that I could tidy up this internal mess and learn the tools and strategies and practices that I could free her. That's powerful. And as a human, as a woman, that is what I'm most passionate about. And hence why we're doing this free event to be able to shed light. Because I think, women come for like human beings. We all come for different reasons, but they're relatable. It's all relatable. I am you, you are me. We're all connected, and our context might look different, the narrative, but really it's, pain is pain, loss is loss, grief is grief, sadness is sadness, feeling our health, losing our health, gaining our health, death, life, like life offers it all, and there's no shortcuts. And when we do claim her and connect to her, it's a beautiful reality. I love being a woman. I love everything about it. And I also see its gifts, its power, and as well its own unique challenges. And so I think to recognize that and to recognize that there can be a kinder way. And that's really what I'm most passionate about.
I feel like you are so grounded in you now. Is there one practice that grounds you when nothing else is working?
The greatest sanity that I have come to recognize is that it's me. I am 100% 100% responsible for what I'm experiencing. That was the biggest shift. I mean, this is what a younger version of myself, if it was between Tony and I. Why don't you understand me? Like, you never understand me. You're not present with me. You're not listening to me. And I didn't recognize that I wasn't listening to her. How could I expect anybody to understand me when I wasn't understanding myself? It's like, be present with me. What does that even mean? Be present with me. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's probably the biggest shift, was like just catching myself. And I still, like I said, I don't have this mastered, but I catch to drop the external blame, demonization. We all know what that sounds like. We all know when we do it, it feels resistant. It feels, like stuck energy, and it's dramatic. It's
Yes.
an
Yes.
unnecessary emotion that fuels our life in a way that is, only creates confusion. That was my experience. And so that's probably been the greatest liberation, is, hey, hello, it's me. I can claim and take care of this body and being. I can shift what things mean to me. That's freaking freedom. That's freedom.
I've watched since we've met everything you stand for and who you are, and I think it's really special for people to know it. I'm excited about She's Unstoppable, and I the fact that you had 500,000 people, and I can't imagine how many more there will be this time. What makes you feel so excited about doing a summit like that? What was the reason behind it initially? Was it just seeing the growth that you felt like you had gone through, or just seeing what people were reaching out asking?
I think all the above. I think all the above. I think being a mother really so humbled me. And then just, going through my own journey, like we just talked about, and recognizing that, wow, like this is, I connect with, friends that are, say, 10 years younger than me. And I'm like, oh, I remember that. I remember believing that, feeling that, living that. And so I think it's just kind for us as women to come together and to unite, and to recognize that individually and collectively we have the capacity to rise above the madness in our mind, to understand and to heal our bodies and beings, to move forward together. Because I think there's power in the collective, especially when it's unified, to heal, to bring kindness, to bring goodness, to love, to celebrate the gift of being a woman, and to connect to all of our many different facets of self. That isn't always, I don't know, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I thought I was this. If I was this, I wasn't that. If I thought I was that, I wasn't this. And it felt disconnected. And so for me, I'm just passionate about shedding light on the beauty, the gift, the power, the strength, the vulnerability of being a woman, and sharing that with others that feel the same. Let's share our light. Let's share our love. Let's illuminate our world. Let's heal as I heal my world here now, that affects the world around me. I find that so liberating and so extraordinarily powerful, because it isn't just the politicians, it isn't just the world leaders that have the capacity to cultivate world peace. That's you and I. It's like, let's not add to the schism. If you don't like social media and people, talking less kind, or dropping, whatever comments, don't do it. Shed light, shed love, shed kindness. I think, like, we as women, that's our greatest superpower, is our capacity to love. So let's share it.
Sage, where can people find you?
Oh, yes, of course. So I'm on Instagram, of course. And as well, for anybody that's interested in the She's Unstoppable Summit, it's she'sunstoppablesummit.com.
And the dates of the summit.
Absolutely. The dates of the summit are August 20th, 21st, and 24th.
Sage, thank you for sharing your time. Sage doesn't perform power, she lives it with softness, clarity, and conviction. Her words stay with you because they speak to something true. I'm leaving this conversation more grounded, more open, and certainly more aware of what matters.